we've all seen the documentary. Well, most of us have seen it, and I guarantee you probably encourage people when they're like, "Oh, we're part of, the Pedigo team." Like, watch the documentary. You'll see the origin story that was captured. But is there anything, because you've trained over in Illinois with the team, and obviously you have so much access to all these guys as well and girls, and I'm curious, but what is one thing about the team spirit in HQ that wasn't captured on the cameras that you think stands out a lot?
Oh, I like, I honestly, when I go back and watch the documentary, it almost feels cringe now, because I feel like there is, you can't capture the team spirit and team feeling on camera. It's not something you can capture. It's something you can feel, and it's something you can experience. It's very, very hard to show it through the camera. Now, I think they do the best job that they can throw in a shoot through camera. And like, it's a very attractive thing when you don't know what PSF is to see how they show it. And you're like, this is awesome. Let's go see it. But like, it's a hell of a lot deeper than anything that you could put on camera. And I think that's the main thing about it. It's like almost like it's kind of like the documentary kind of reminds me of like Jackass, the TV show, mixed with jiu-jitsu. Like, that's what it feels like for me. And that is a big attraction to why I went there. But it is a lot more deep than that. And there's a lot more support, and there's a lot more caring, and there's a lot more accountability and togetherness and support, and, like, Heath is, I believe he's the greatest coach of all time, but also as well, he's one of the best friends you could ever have. He's an amazing leader. Like, he shows up to everything, it doesn't matter what's going on in his life. I've been with him at times where he's having serious as crisis is happening in the personal life because of X, Y, and Z, and he still shows up there for his athletes, and he still is there mat side for every event. Like, I don't want to go into too much detail, but there was a very, very crazy person like threatening serious harm on the gym and on his family while we were at Pans in 2024, Mnogi Pans, and there was threats made against people in his family, very, very, very violent threats where police and FBI and all this were involved, and he knew there was nothing he could do if he went back home, so he just stayed and did his job, and he still cornered every single match. He cornered over 100 matches over those days while there's an extreme crisis going on, and then we end up actually winning the team trophy that weekend. It was amazing. Max Hansen's first debut year at Pans, and he won the black belt title that year. That was absolutely amazing, and that was the last points that we scored to secure the team trophy, which was absolutely amazing. But it just goes back to Heath is always there, through thick and thin. He's there. He does his job. He does his part every single time. A lot of the time, sometimes I'd be wondering, I'm like, man, is Heath really that good? Like, or does he just do all the basic things perfectly? Because I'd say 95% of what Heath does, I'd say even more, 98, 99% of what he does is just doing the little things properly. Like, when your athletes come into the gym and they say hello, he says hello back. Might not seem like much, but when someone doesn't say hello to you back, you notice it. He comes over, talks to people, he asks how you're doing, he checks in about you, he learns a little about who you are, he learns a little about your struggles, he learns your goals, he gives you direction, he does all these little things. He makes sure you're being looked after, he makes sure the lads are looking after you, he makes sure you get a beating if you're being a crazy egotistical man, like, he makes sure you get exactly what you need. He does all the little things right. But then every now and again you'll have a crisis or a situation or a decision need to be made, and he'll make one, and you're like, all right, you're the GOAT. Like, all right, yeah. Like, you're good, Like, there's been a lot of times, like, I've looked at him an awful lot, like, I've learned a lot of jiu-jitsu off him. I've learned a lot of stuff, like being a competitor and stuff like that from Heath. But I do feel like before I came to PSF, I was already a pretty polished athlete. Have I gotten better in all those aspects through the team? Yes, absolutely. But was I already at a decent level of those things before I came there? Yeah, I believe I was. I think the biggest thing that I learned from Heath is just his ability to lead. How he leads is absolutely phenomenal. How he leads without ego, how much he says without saying, how much he says when he is saying things. And definitely for me, for sure, learning when to keep your mouth shut and say nothing is one of the biggest skills I've ever learned from Heath. I'm still, I wouldn't say mastering that, I would say grasping the finer basics of shutting my mouth. But no, like, he is absolutely amazing. Every time I like study him a lot, and every time I see him make a decision, it's either the exact decision I would make, or it's a better answer that I didn't even know existed. But again, I think why a lot of the teams within PSF do have success from the affiliates and stuff like that is because that is the backbone of the team, is just do all the little things right. Sure, if you're a genius like Heath and you've got a photographic memory and you're Rain Man and all this, you can sparkle a bit of genius on top of it, but ultimately the cake, the foundation, it's all making the small decisions, the day-to-day decisions, doing the right thing day to day, day in, day out. And I think that's why so many of his coaches that might not be as intelligent as him or as good socially as him or good in certain situations as him do so successfully, because they do the other 95%, the stuff that anybody can do, the controllables. Do you say hi to your guys? Are you nice to them? Are you pleasant? Are you like actually involved? Do you care? You know, if you do all those things, success will follow, you know. And it gives me a lot of hope because I'm not as smart as Heath Pedigo. Like, there's a few times there where I've been like, oh, fuck. Like, you know, you're operating at a, there, okay, there's levels to this, buddy, like, you know. But the great thing about it is I do believe I can achieve similar things to Heath in a shorter space of time, because unlike Heath Pedigo, when Heath started, Heath didn't have a friend like Heath Pedigo. I don't have to be as smart as Heath Pedigo because I have a friend like Heath, and I have his network, and I have his friendship, and I have his connections, and more importantly, I have him wanting me to succeed, which is one of the most valuable tools that you'll ever have. And when you just look at one thing when you walk out here, one of my proudest things on the door, there's a little sign on the door on the way out, and it's just a little handwritten note from Heath, and it's on some of the mats from the old Daisy Fresh gym that we all used to sleep on. And it's just got a little note in it, and it's one of my proudest things of the gym. Just take a look at it on the way out. But yeah, for sure, Heath's ability to do the little things correct is what puts him where he is, and then his genius on top of that is what just makes him, in my opinion, the greatest coach to ever do any sport.